Hey everybody, here I am once again at Desert Memorial Park Cemetery in Cathedral City, California. As you know, it's one of my favorite cemeteries in the world, and there are lots of very famous people laid to rest here. And today I'm visiting the gravesite of someone who was very famous, and you probably know her last name, but many of you, maybe even most of you, probably don't know her first name. Her name was Jolie Gabor. Now the name Gabor is very famous because there were three very, very famous sisters named Gabor. Ava Gabor, Zsa Zsa Gabor, and Magda Gabor. Back in the 1960s and 70s especially, they were all very famous. Ava and Zsa Zsa were the younger sisters, and they were the most famous. Magda Gabor was also an actress and appeared in a number of TV shows. But being the older sister, she never achieved the fame of her two younger sisters. But she was still very well known as a wealthy socialite, as was her mother, Jolie Gabor. Now, Jolie Gabor was born in Budapest, Hungary on September 30th, 1896, and died here in Palm Springs on April 1st, 1997, at the age of 100. She lived to be 100 years old. Sadly, none of the three sisters lived to be that old. During World War II, they all immigrated to the U.S. to escape the Nazi invasion in 1939. Jolie Gabor, the mother, was also very beautiful and appeared in television commercials and television shows, but she was in the news all the time, as they all were, as beautiful, eccentric socialites with very strong accents and all with very, very big personalities. They were just made for TV and made for the tabloids. Jolie was born to wealthy parents. They were jewelers in the diamond business, and she went on to marry 3 times. Her last husband was Count Edward Odin de Szigeti. I'm probably totally butchering his name, I'm sorry. He's buried here next to Jolie and Magda. All 3 of them are buried together, but Zsa Zsa and Ava chose to be buried elsewhere. Zsa Zsa was buried in Budapest, Hungary. That's where she was born. All the sisters were born there, and so was their mother, Jolie Gabor. And Ava Gabor, who starred in the very popular TV sitcom Green Acres, is buried in Westwood, California, just a few yards away from her co-star and TV husband, Eddie Albert. I've visited both of their gravesites in the past a couple of times. The 3 sisters and their mom seemed to be very close when they were all still alive, so I'm a little surprised that they weren't all buried together here. I know they all spent time here. All the sisters spent time here in Palm Springs. I'm not sure if they all owned homes here, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did. I think they probably did. I always find it interesting how some families are very, very close and they want to all be buried together. Sometimes they have family plots. And for me, it always seems kind of sad when they don't want to be buried together and they're scattered all over the country or all over the world. In this case, even though they may have been close when they were alive, in death, only Jolie and her oldest daughter, Magda, are buried together. Magda died about a month after her mom, and she was 81 years old. Apparently, a decade or so early, I believe, if I remember the story right, she tripped over her dog and hit her head on a coffee table or something and ended up having a stroke, and she was never the same after that. And then years later, she had another stroke, which left her debilitated, and finally, toward the end, she was on life support, and she was removed from life support about a month after her mom passed away in 1997. I always love visiting the gravesites of people, famous or not, who live to be 100 years old or older. It's still pretty rare and pretty special. I was here about a week ago taking my walk around the cemetery, and I happened to notice a couple of headstones where the dates indicated that the person had made it to 100 years old. And then I guess it's just jogged my memory because I've visited Jolie and Magda Gabor's gravesites many times over the years. They're very close to Frank Sinatra and very close to my grandparents. And I remembered that Jolie Gabor was one of the famous people who lived to be 100 years old. Almost made it to her 101st birthday. So that's what prompted me to visit her gravesite today and finally share her gravesite on this channel after all of these years. So as always, please feel free to share your memories about the Gabor sisters and their mom, Jolie, in the comments section. So thanks for sharing the memories, everybody, and I'll hope to see you all in the next video.